Hey guys, what is up? I wanted to show some clips against some more capable opponents, or at least probabilistically capable, because the majority of the opponents I'm going to show you today are gold medalists in the arena. And I know that that's sometimes a bit of a controversial statement, but I'm prepared to put a stake in the ground and say, you know what, if you have a gold medal in the arena, you're entitled to be called good. It may not mean you're the best. It may not mean that you're better than people that would come and watch this video, because let's face it, the type of people that come and watch a video about Dark Souls 3 invasions are pretty much the one percenters, the people that are really obsessed and interested in this game. So you, the viewer, might well be better than most gold medalists, but they are still good. They're probably better than most people playing the game. This guy obviously is pretty good. He's playing with an Ultra. He's playing a good strategy. He's playing the mix-up of the standing R1 and the rolling attacks. And mixing that up is a really effective strategy. And of course, I could bring out a parry tool, but I suspect this player is good enough that he's going to know exactly what I'm doing. I'm sure he's had it done to him a number of times. I'm sure he would be able to accommodate it. He would probably do the rolling attacks a little bit less frequently. It would not be a winning strategy for me, most likely. So instead, I think I'm not going to bring out the parry tool, because then he's going to change up, and essentially everything I've learned about him and his playstyle to this point is going to get thrown out the window. So instead, I notice he's rolling, and he's not necessarily being very careful with his rolls. He's rolling into me, like right there. That was the opening I was looking for, and I was able to put him away. If I'd had a parry tool out, I don't know that I would have had that same sort of opening be made available to me. So I wound up fighting the same player again, and I think I fought him a total of 3 or 4 times. And truthfully, in most circumstances against solo hosts, when I get them over and over, I tend to let up on them. But this guy has shown himself to be a capable opponent. So it would be kind of an insult to him, I think, to just let up on him. I do notice, though, that this time he's brought in the parry tool, an ultra greatsword one-handed in favor of a parry tool. Now that says one thing. That says, I really want to parry you. So I'm trying to be a little bit cautious, but at the same time, I'm trying to pressure him enough to stay aggressive. I don't want him just sitting back there and getting comfortable. 2 roll catches and then I stop, and then he gets me. Parries out of a roll. This is one of the few parries that still gets me on occasion. But I know one thing for sure now. He's going to go for it again. Guaranteed. This is the most luck he's had against me so far. All I have to do is pressure him, wait for the parry, backstab. He made himself too predictable. My old iron rule that when people do something and it works, they're bound to do it again, just ended up making him too predictable and ended up costing him the fight. Our next opponent here is a washing pole user, and I got some very valuable advice from Skip to My Nash about the washing pole, because I told him that I had a hard time with it. And he said, look, the thing about the washing pole is it can really only pressure at medium range. When you're up close, it doesn't have a lot of tools to really pressure you. And I realized, like, wow, that's really true. And so one of the things I try to do a lot of times is get in close so that they can't use that awesome running attack and poke me with it. Now, arguably, I don't do a very good job of that in this fight, and part of the problem is this guy's pretty passive. He's backpedaling most of the time, and so I decide, rather than try to get up close and pressure him, I'm just going to neutralize his advantage of range with my own spear, because this isn't a duel. He can heal, I can't, and it's frankly, getting up close and pressuring him, I might do 4 times as much damage to him as he does to me, but that's not good enough. That's not going to get the job done. I think I actually had that spaced. So the other thing that's on my mind here is, obviously he's a gold medalist. He has an idea of what he's doing. He's playing with a good weapon, the old meta, and I'm wary of katana parries. So I'm definitely thinking about the risk of a katana parry, and I know there's some classic baits. Like that one right there is a classic katana parry bait. And so I decided to run in knowing if he attacked, I could probably roll it on reaction pretty easily, but if he went for a parry, I'd be able to punish it, and sure enough, that's what happened. Now, this guy's smart enough to know that the way to manage the pressure against him is to try to attack, but I'm not backing off. I'm not giving him any space at all when he attacks. I'm just pressing my advantage, and it ended up paying off. GG, man. So this next clip is in some sense like a mini shitpost almost. I arrive in the world to find the Guardian, of course, already dying. I see Leto's hammer and I see another Phantom. So I'm trying to make my moves here, think about what I want to do. I see the Phantom pointing down at the Guardian, which is kind of funny. I'm worried about getting blindsided here, and I see the Phantom doing the laid out thing, which to me, I read that to mean my big brother's gonna kick your ass, and I'm gonna sit here and watch. And now as soon as I backstab the host, I know that Phantom's gonna come barreling in, but as long as I get that Undead Hunter charm off first, I know I'm golden, and I'm able to finish the host off before the Phantom can even get involved. I suspect the Phantom thought he would have more time if the fight ended up going south and the host gets a point down. GG, guys. So this fight was kind of tough. It ends up, I think, 2 of the 3 players have gold medals. Maybe all 3 of them do. And they've got tough weapons here. I think they're all ultra weapons. I guess I don't know if you would consider a Gundyrs an ultra weapon, but it's got a lot of poise. I'm definitely worried about trying to manage all 3 of these players at the same time. I decide to go ahead and abuse my poise there to trade through Fugs. And the Phantom here realizes there's really nothing that he can do. He can't stop me. If he swings, I'm going to trade with him, and he's going to lose the trade. He gives me a bit of the waggle. And the problem here is I think he's light rolling. And light rolling is like kryptonite to this build because I can't roll catch you. Even if you panic roll, and even if I read it, I can't reach you because the light roll takes you too far away from me. So here I start panicking a little bit, sort of freaking out, get my head together, throw out a great heal, and now I'm kind of planning and trying to figure out what I want to do. Unfortunately, the Phantom there throws out one too many R1s, makes my life a little bit easier. I give him the waggles a little bit back, and now I know I've got a really great chance at taking this fight down. So the host with the Avalanche strategy and the lightning bolts, normally that would probably be a pretty good idea, but given the amount of poise I have here, it's really not going to be a very effective strategy against me. And this is a great example of players who sometimes are good at PvP, or they're good at ganking, or they're good at some facet of PvP. Because the spear fight throws a lot of the rules out the window, if you're not prepared for that, you're going to have a really bad time. And I think sometimes against really good players, it works to their disadvantage even more than other players because they've got so much muscle memory that they've developed that all gets thrown out the window. And some players realize this and they prepare appropriately, they change their weaponry, they understand the nature of the fight, but that's not true for everybody. And I think these guys are probably in the latter category of maybe not being as ready for this fight as they could have been. And here I'm kind of just trading willy-nilly. I've learned that a little bit from watching the Church Guardian player, Virtuous Shame play, who I actually hope to be featuring in an upcoming video. More about him to come, but trying to go for trades more often when I know even if I'm going to get out damaged, sometimes can be valuable. So I throw out the great heal, and I see this is the walk of disconnect. Pretty shameless, guys. So here we have another 3v1, and this to me felt like a case where 1 or 2 players were carrying the host through the game. The host did not seem nearly as experienced. Unfortunately, the host is a caster, and that's probably, if you want somebody to be inexperienced, you probably prefer not to be the caster, just because the caster's job is relatively easy. Just stand at range and shoot pew-pews. So right here, I'm really trying to put a plan together. I've noticed the guy chasing me with the greatsword has a gold medal, and he seems to know what's up. So he's the one I'm probably the most worried about at this point. He's the one that's not afraid to give me a little bit of pressure. He's the one that's keeping me from like kind of getting my game plan together and letting me know that he's going to be right around me the whole time. So there I spot an opportunity. The way the host was angled made it easier for me to get to his back, and I decided to take the opportunity. If he had S'd just a split second earlier, I would have gone for the backstab, but I had already committed to the L1 at that point. Unfortunately, when he glitched around the corner there, he probably could have healed, but he didn't realize it, and he wasn't experienced enough to have the camera probably over his shoulder watching me while he was trying to escape. GG, guys. Okay, so this is the last clip that I have for you today. The host seems to be somewhat inexperienced here using Frida's Scythe. The Phantom, on the other hand, another gold medalist, playing with a straight sword. It looks like he's a pyro build of some kind, maybe a dark build. Weird thing though is the Phantom obviously does not have very much health. And that could be because if he's a Pyro build, I'm SL90. If these guys happen to be lower level, like 80 to 90, then he may have had to make some sacrifices. Maybe it's not a complete build yet. I go for the parry against Freed's Scythe, mess it up, and as Mocha would say, that's what happens when you mess up a parry. I end up losing over half my health, so I'm in a pretty bad way at this point. Use the spears to separate the party, and I'm able to get after the Phantom here. And I really want to take this advantage to put him away because he's the one that scares me, not the host. And I end up trading the Freed's weapon art in favor of putting away the Phantom. Like, I knew I was going to have to tank that attack, but it was definitely worth it to get rid of the Phantom. Obviously this host isn't going to pressure me. I can heal comfortably at range. Now when I see him go to the Firelink Greatsword, I know it's for one reason and one reason only, and that's to use the weapon art. And you have to be careful with that. You can't really roll through the weapon art. At least I've never been able to do it successfully. Curious if anyone else thinks it can be done. But the easiest thing to do is just run around it if you're able, and then you can get a backstab because it's got a shit ton of recovery after that weapon art. And the other thing is if you use that weapon art, you want to unlock and predict where the player will be rather than locking on. Okay guys, well I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks so much for checking in today, and take care now.